biggest win of his career. And a huge right hand from Ugas with that jab. Yet again, and a good left hook. Threw Ugas off balance, and he might have stunned him there. Now Barrios back to the body and then connects on the left cross. Stuns Ugas, and a huge left hook. Caught Ugas, stunned him.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Look at me. Come here. You all right?
Pacquiao beat and positioned a lot of fighters with his feet and his movement. He has a dance rhythm when he attack his target.
A mí me partiría el corazón. Ojalá que no sea. Yo creo y voy a que gana Manny Pacquiao. Pero si es lo contrario, que gana Mario Barrios, va a demostrar que es el mejor.
It's one thing when analysts split over a fight. It's another when the men who've been there, who've felt Manny Pacquiao's speed, his angles, his storm, don't all stand on the same side. That's what makes this different. Because for the first time in years, legends, Hall of Famers, champions, even a man who shared the ring with Pacquiao himself aren't united in their predictions. And that's what has the boxing world leaning closer to the screen. This isn't just another comeback fight. At 45, Pacquiao isn't chasing a payday. He's chasing relevance against a younger, hungrier Mario Barrios, a fighter who's carved his way through the welterweight division with pressure, power, and patience. On paper, Pacquiao's resume dwarfs Barrios. 8 divisions, dozens of names in the Hall of Fame already crossed out, but boxing doesn't care about paper when age steps into the equation, and that's exactly why this fight has turned every legend into a strategist, each seeing something different when they play it out in their heads. Some, like Bernard Hopkins, look at Pacquiao and see themselves. A man who refuses to fade, who knows how to steal rounds with intelligence rather than youth. Others, like Marco Antonio Barrera, shake their heads at the math, pointing to legs that don't move like they used to and the danger of facing a man young enough to still be writing his own story. And then there's Yordenis Ugas, the man who once handed Pacquiao the kind of loss that looked like the end, now watching from the outside, hesitant to choose Manny outright. And that hesitation, that split, is what makes this fascinating. Legends aren't just picking sides. They're revealing what they value most: experience or momentum, legacy or hunger, the past or the future. Because this fight isn't just Pacquiao versus Barrios. It's a debate about what wins when time starts tipping the scales. Coming up, we break down every opinion, every prediction, and why even the greats can't agree on how this story ends.
Pacquiao beat and positioned a lot of fighters with his feet and his movement. He has a dance rhythm when he attack his target.
He closes that distance incredibly fast.
He's not flat-footed. He's here, he's here, he's here. He stays on his toes. He got a bounce to him. See, when
if there's one legend who didn't hesitate to back Pacquiao, it's Bernard Hopkins, and it's not hard to see why. Hopkins sees a lot of himself in Manny, a fighter who refuses to let age dictate his story. Speaking to TalkSport, Hopkins praised Pacquiao's experience and speed, suggesting that even at 45, those tools could still be enough to frustrate a younger, less seasoned opponent like Mario Barrios. Coming from Hopkins, that's not just lip service. This is a man who was still winning world titles in his late 40s, who built an entire second career on outthinking fighters half his age. Hopkins has always believed that ring IQ, patience, and conditioning can overcome youthful explosiveness, and he sees Pacquiao as one of the few fighters in history who can still weaponize those same tools long after most would have retired. His prediction? A decision win for Pacquiao. Hopkins didn't talk knockouts or wild exchanges. He spoke about control, about using angles and movement to dictate the fight's tempo. It's a classic Hopkins blueprint. Take away the younger man's confidence early, limit his chances to land clean, and make him question himself round by round. What's interesting is how much Hopkins values what Pacquiao still has over what he's lost. Yes, the legs in 2019, but Hopkins argues that the kind of experience Pacquiao carries into the ring can neutralize Barrios' pressure if used correctly. He doesn't need to outwork him, Hopkins said. He just needs to outthink him. It's a statement rooted in Hopkins' own philosophy, one that helped him extend his career deeper than almost any elite fighter in history. But it also raises a question. Is Pacquiao still the fighter who can apply that kind of cerebral dominance? Or is Hopkins' confidence more about what Manny was rather than what he is now? For Hopkins, there's no doubt. He's betting on legacy over youth, on craft over chaos. And for fans who still believe in Pacquiao's ability to turn back time, Hopkins just became their loudest, most credible voice.
Está activo, es el campeón actual. No es tan complicado como los campeones que hay, pero arriba del ring se va a volver peligroso. Y también hay que recordar, Mario Barrios fue el que le ganó y retiró a Ugas. ¿Qué pasó con Ugas? Ugas fue el que le ganó a Manny Pacquiao. Es una matemática que no sale.
Marco Antonio Barrera, one of the most respected Mexican legends, and a man who's shared eras with Manny Pacquiao, doesn't see it the same way Bernard Hopkins does. In an interview with TalkSport, Barrera was direct. The math doesn't add up for Manny. Coming from someone who knows what it's like to fight at the highest level into his later years, that statement carried weight, and it wasn't just dismissive, it was rooted in logic. Barrera's reasoning focused on three things: age, activity, and Barrios' relentless style. At 45, Pacquiao is fighting not just a younger man, but a fighter with youth-driven stamina and a rhythm that doesn't break easily. Barrera has been in wars where younger fighters dragged veterans into uncomfortable waters, and he sees Barrios as exactly that kind of opponent. To him, it's not about whether Pacquiao's skills have declined drastically. It's about whether his body can sustain 12 rounds of consistent pressure without slowing down enough for Barrios to take over late. There's also respect in Barrera's words. He didn't dismiss Pacquiao's chances outright, acknowledging his incredible legacy and noting that Manny will always carry fight-ending speed, even at this stage. But Barrera made it clear that in a battle between experience and youth, he'd favor youth when the age gap is this wide. Barrios is in his prime, Barrera explained, implying that a fighter still building his career has an edge in hunger and physical resilience. What makes Barrera's perspective particularly compelling is how true it rings to the Mexican boxing philosophy he represents. Mexican fighters and Mexican legends value volume, aggression, and the willingness to outlast an opponent more than they value surgical perfection. Barrios embodies that, and Barrera sees that as the deciding factor. For fans who agree with Barrera, this isn't disrespect toward Pacquiao, it's realism. Legends eventually slow down, and against a fighter who won't stop coming forward, slowing down for even a round or two could cost everything. So while Hopkins waves the banner for experience, Barrera waves the flag for youth, pressure, and momentum. It's not a choice made lightly, but in Barrera's mind, it's the only logical one.
You know, there's no one answer to that question. You know what? Maybe he can do it. Maybe he knows the right thing to do. And the way, it's just the way you feel.
For you, just your...
That's not my job. I can't do that. I can't. No.
Pick and choose, okay.
Sugar Ray Leonard didn't commit to a clear winner the way Hopkins and Barrera did, but his take may be the most revealing of all. In an interview with TalkSport, Leonard said that if Manny Pacquiao focuses, he can still win, pointing to the mental side of boxing as the real deciding factor. For Leonard, this fight isn't about whether Pacquiao still has the fastest hands or the best footwork. It's about whether he can mentally prepare his body and mind to execute for 12 disciplined rounds against a younger opponent. Leonard has been there himself. He understands the difference between coming back for nostalgia and coming back with intent. His comments reflected that Pacquiao, at this stage, doesn't need to win through pure athleticism. He needs to fight smarter than ever before. Leonard highlighted the importance of timing, shot selection, and conserving energy early to leave enough for a late push. He didn't dismiss Barrios' strengths either, acknowledging that a fighter in his prime with a high work rate could cause serious problems if Pacquiao allows the pace to get away from him. But Leonard's tone suggested something closer to cautious optimism. He's been vocal about how great fighters, true legends, can sometimes summon another gear when the stakes demand it. Pacquiao, in Leonard's eyes, is one of those rare fighters who can still pull from experience, instinct, and pride to deliver big moments, even if his body isn't what it once was. What makes Leonard's assessment unique is that he placed the burden of victory entirely on Pacquiao's preparation. His words didn't feel like a prediction, they felt like a challenge. Focus wasn't just about training camp. It was about mentally committing to push past age and fatigue, to trust the veteran instincts that carried him through decades of championship fights. Leonard's take might frustrate fans hoping for a simple answer, but it reveals how great fighters see the sport. To him, This isn't youth versus age, power versus speed. It's about who imposes their mind on the fight. And if Pacquiao can do that, Leonard seems to believe Barrios' youth won't matter. But if he can't, Barrios' momentum becomes the deciding factor.
He might be 40 in his 40s, but he did beat a very, very game Thurman, a very dangerous puncher with both hands, and he neutralized him pretty easily. So I was looking for that with that Pacquiao that came in, and I'll tell you, he showed tonight, and he's still got a lot left.
Among all the opinions swirling around Pacquiao's comeback, Yordenis Ugas' view carries a different weight. He's not a legend from a past era or an analyst watching from afar. He's the man who retired Pacquiao, handing him his last professional loss in 2021. And his take isn't the clear-cut endorsement Pacquiao fans might have hoped for. Speaking in recent interviews, Ugas didn't outright pick Barrios, but he also didn't jump to Pacquiao's side. Instead, he called it a high-risk fight and admitted it's closer than people think. Ugas knows better than most what Pacquiao looks like at this stage. When they fought, he capitalized on a version of Manny that was still fast in bursts, but inconsistent across rounds, with footwork that occasionally lagged behind his punches. Against a fighter who controlled distance and kept a steady pace, Pacquiao struggled to adjust late. Ugas sees Barrios as a completely different style, more pressure, more chaos, but believes the same question applies. His legs hold up when someone forces him to work every second of every round? What makes Ugas' opinion stand out is his respect for both men. He praised Pacquiao for taking such a dangerous fight at this age, calling him a legend forever, but he also noted that Barrios is not the same fighter who lost to Gervonta Davis and Keith Thurman. Ugas experienced Barrios' growth firsthand, having lost to him in 2023, and acknowledged that Barrios is stronger, more confident, and better at cutting off the ring now than he was earlier in his career. Ugas' hesitation to fully back Pacquiao isn't disrespect. It's caution from someone who knows how much small physical declines matter at this level. His perspective is rare because he's fought them both, felt their strengths, and understands exactly where each man stands in 2025. In a way, Ugas' words echo what fans are already debating. Pacquiao's greatness isn't in question, but time is undefeated. And if someone who beat Manny at 42 and lost to Barrios at 28 can't firmly pick the legend, it's a sign that even those who know Pacquiao best see this as far from a guaranteed win.
Pacquiao again, the aggressor. Advantage early over the first couple of rounds. Good right hand. Has come on. Caught Pacquiao with the right.
Was a nice little move. It does make it visible that, final 10 and a huge. And now another right hand.
When you line up these opinions side by side, something bigger emerges. This isn't just about Pacquiao versus Barrios. It's about how different fighters from different eras define what wins fights. Hopkins, Barrera, Leonard, and Ugas aren't just making predictions. They're revealing what they value most about boxing itself. For Bernard Hopkins, it's all about control. His faith in Pacquiao mirrors the philosophy that kept him competitive into his late 40s. Neutralize chaos, slow the pace, win rounds with efficiency. To Hopkins, experience is the ultimate equalizer, and he sees Pacquiao as one of the few fighters who can still impose that level of control despite his age. His pick reflects an older school mentality where composure and patience outweigh sheer volume. Marco Antonio Barrera, on the other hand, comes from a tradition built on pressure and endurance. His choice of Barrios isn't disrespect for Pacquiao. It's belief in a proven formula. For Barrera, youth, activity, and relentless offense wear down even the most technically gifted fighters. It's a philosophy rooted in the Mexican fighting spirit, where grit often outlasts precision. To Barrera, Barrios' style is exactly the kind of pressure Pacquiao doesn't need at 45. Sugar Ray Leonard sits somewhere in the middle. He respects both sides, but his focus on mindset reveals how much he believes fights are won long before the first bell. Leonard's era prized adaptability. Fighters who could switch gears mid-round, who adjusted mentally to whatever the other man threw at them. Leonard's take suggests that Pacquiao still has that adaptability, but only if he approaches the fight with the same hunger he had in his prime. Then there's Yordenis Ugas, whose perspective feels the most modern. Having fought both men, Ugas's hesitation speaks to the reality of boxing today. Physical decline is visible sooner, and young, active fighters like Barrios can close the gap on skill with conditioning and work rate. His caution isn't romantic or emotional, it's analytical, based on what he's felt in the ring. These divided picks aren't just predictions, they're a debate about what boxing really rewards. Is it the brain or the body, the storm or the calm, legacy or youth? This fight has forced every legend to pick a side, and the split tells you everything about how much the sport has changed across generations.
Manny Pacquiao has 46 years old, but he's professional, he's training hard and every day. I think, let me tell you something. I think Manny Pacquiao is the new world champion.
Juan Manuel Marquez, one of the few men who's actually beaten Manny Pacquiao, gave perhaps the most grounded take of all, and it carried a mix of respect and warning. Speaking in an extended interview, Marquez didn't hesitate to call Pacquiao the new world champion if Manny fights the way he's trained to for decades. The most important thing in this fight is experience, Marquez said, stressing that Pacquiao's timing, speed, and ring IQ are still his greatest weapons. At 46, Manny's edge isn't in youth or volume, it's in knowing how to use those tools at the right moment. But Marquez didn't pretend it was simple. He called the fight dangerous for Pacquiao, openly acknowledging Barrios' youth and pressure style. Barrios is a strong fighter, always on the front foot, he explained, adding that Pacquiao's ability to keep a fast pace for 12 rounds will decide whether his experience actually works in his favor. And coming from Marquez, who famously figured out Pacquiao's timing after 4 fights, that caution means something. Marquez even broke down how he solved Pacquiao years ago, waiting for the in-and-out rhythm, studying Manny's mistakes across 36 rounds, and countering with precision. That insight shaped his view of this fight. Pacquiao still has the speed and power to win, but if his legs can't keep up or if Barrios forces him to trade too much, the younger fighter has a real chance to upset him. For Marquez, the pick is clear. He's leaning Pacquiao, but only because he trusts Manny's professionalism and preparation. He's training hard every day, Marquez said. Experience is power, speed, everything. But the way he said it, with that slight edge of caution, shows he respects what Barrios brings, and that's why his prediction feels less like blind loyalty and more like an honest assessment from someone who knows exactly how hard Pacquiao is to beat.
Barrios, I know he trained hard, he has to defend his belt. I'm a challenger, so I have to make more extra mile to punish myself and able to.
When legends split, it tells you everything about how unpredictable a fight really is. Bernard Hopkins sees Pacquiao as the same kind of late-career genius he once was, crafty, patient, too smart to be broken down. Marco Antonio Barrera believes youth, pressure, and sheer will can crack even the greatest when time starts to slow them down. Sugar Ray Leonard stays in the middle, betting on mindset, not muscle. And Yordenis Ugas, the man who retired Pacquiao, isn't ready to say Manny wins this one, proof that even those who know him best see risk in this comeback. So now it's your turn. Do you trust the legends who believe experience still wins? Or do you side with those betting on youth? Drop your prediction in the comments, Pacquiao or Barrios, and why. And if you want every breakdown like this, where legends tell the story before the first punch is even thrown, hit subscribe, because this fight is just the start.